Today's Friday, the first full week of the new year is over, and we didn't actually film anything yesterday on Thursday at all, and that was for a few reasons. One, I have been having a very overwhelming week. It has been a surprisingly, unbelievably busy week for me work-wise. One of the challenges when you're self-employed is that even though I have somebody who works for me, they obviously have their own work in addition to the work that I give them as well. But my company is at a stage where I'm sort of like growing to a point where I need loads of extra staff, but I actually can't afford them yet. And because you are absolutely everything, you are the wedding planner, the business person, the accounts person, the ordering person, you are everything, the marketing person, the social media person. The sheer volume of things that you have to do when you're self-employed is phenomenal. It's funny, I saw like a quote or a funny picture online this week that really made me think, is that entrepreneurs work 80 hours a week so that they don't have to work 40 hours a week for somebody else. And there's so much truth in that there are definitely pros to being self-employed, 100%. But there are a great many cons. And this week, I have probably been experiencing more of the cons than the pros. And it's been massively overwhelming and crazy. And one of the challenges that I've been having also is that I have SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder, which affects people, a great many number of people. But coupled with that and the hormonal changes that my body is going through since my operation, that have really come into effect in the last 3 or 4 months, it's all been very sort of challenging for me. And because I wasn't as organized or as prepared for coming back in January as I had planned to be, I thought I was going to have a couple of days earlier in the week on Monday and Tuesday to sort of get myself organized. But unfortunately, because just so unbelievably busy, that didn't happen. And it all sort of, I suppose in a sense, came to a front yesterday. I had spent the week chasing my tail, which is not a unique position for anybody. Like, we all have those days and those weeks where you just kind of feel everything is falling apart. Not just, even if it's like primarily in one aspect of your life, say your home life or your work life. It just seems to like filter or like grow into every aspect. That's kind of where I was yesterday. I had a tough day emotionally, physically, mentally, like just every way. And that's obviously it's not a unique experience to me or a new experience for me or for anybody. Like, we've all been there. But even though I probably should have filmed through it so that, you know, I could share with you guys that we're all normal, we all have these days. It's not that I didn't want to film, I was so kind of like, in my head was so crowded, I never thought to film. So that's really what it was. It wasn't that I was embarrassed, ashamed, or didn't want to share it. Because obviously we shared a great deal of stuff. It's just that I simply did not think to film because my head was just so all over the place. But the reason for, I suppose, sitting down now to tell you about this and to share it with you all is to sort of share with you how I kind of have or am overcoming that, and, you know, things that I do in the past. So first is just to accept the situation that you are overwhelmed, overbusy, overtired, whatever the situation is. I'm still not, I mentioned in an earlier vlog that I don't want to say my insomnia has kicked in. My sleeping pattern sort of is off track, which of course has a massive impact on people. And so I'm not currently sleeping the way I should be, and for the times I should be, and for the length I should be. So that impacts your life, of course, too. And, you know, I don't want to say we're on a diet, we're on a healthy eating plan, so my body has less sugar, you know, all those kind of things. So if you're overwhelmed or in a situation similar to what I was yesterday, the first thing is to accept it. As shitty and as annoying and as frustrating as it is, and believe me, I know that, is to accept that the fact that that is the situation that you're in. And the second is to come up with solutions as to what will make you feel better. Even if you can't change the situation, even, you know, like I can't change the amount of work that I have to do, and I have delegated it out as much as I can possibly delegate it. I still just have a massive volume of work, both in my business, for my business, and then in the house. Sometimes you just have to accept that, but to make changes or to put in place or to do something that is going to make you feel better, and to help you out with it. So one of the things that I did yesterday, despite being unbelievably busy and having no time to really spare, I actually stopped working. I stopped working around 3 o'clock. I took a really long hot shower. I got changed. I went to the Pavilions, which is like a local shopping centre to us here. And one of the things and one of the reasons I had been feeling really frustrated all week is that I hadn't set up my new planner. So in work I use 2 planners. So I use a Filofax for like my date appointments and consultations and things like that. And then I use a personal planner for, like, you know, my to-dos and tracking things and so on and so forth, as well as I do have an online database as well specific to my clients. But there's things that I do outside of, like, you know, clients that are for my business as well, hence the personal planner. But I don't buy a planner, I actually have my own, so I essentially print and make it myself. I hadn't gotten around to doing that. So I went out yesterday and I bought the supplies that I needed to do all those sort of things, so that when I came back in this morning, I actually sort of started to print the planner last night. So that when I came in this morning, I felt that I had the kind of like the spaces to take everything or take most things outside of my head and put it down on paper. I also sort of like, for me, generally, it's accepting the situation and doing something small. Even I'm the type of person that I might be annoyed, frustrated, and upset over something in work. But the real problem is that maybe the house is untidy. And because I work in the home, that impacts my work life as well. So sometimes you might have to look outside the actual scenario or situation to see what really is affecting you. Or not so much affecting you, but you might have to look outside the scenario or the situation for a solution to help you feel a little bit better about it. So having done those kind of things yesterday, and I also, and this is going to seem so like ridiculously unrelated, but another thing that was weighing on my mind was, this is going to sound so weird, before Christmas, I started to replace all of our towels. Yes, totally unrelated. And I actually got rid of all of our old towels, some of which were like 10 years old. So I binned all of the towels that we had previously, and I started to buy I found these really nice luxurious towels that I love. And I had started to buy those probably about 6 weeks before Christmas, and I'd been buying, a couple every couple of weeks. And because our dryer broke a while ago and we haven't had it fixed yet, and we'd used all our towels. Now, we still didn't have full capacity towels, still like not the same number of towels we had previously, so we'd sort of run out of towels, and this was weighing on my mind. And because the dryer's broke and the weather is so wet and cold and all the rest, it is taking like an age to dry towels. So we literally have towels all over the house at different stages of drying. And so another thing that I did yesterday that made me feel so much better was I went out and bought more towels. I also bought, as you all know, we're doing Fituary. We're trying our very best to eat healthier, make better choices, and to exercise more. And I think like late last week or earlier in the week, I told you all that I found a hole in my runner, and I had to throw them out. They were basically gone. And I actually, because of the mountain of work I've had to do, meetings I've had in the evenings, and sort of like friends and stuff calling over, I haven't actually had the opportunity to exercise since I think like Tuesday or Wednesday. And that, like, in one part of me is frustrated because I want to do it, and the other part of me is scared that if I let this continue, I won't do any exercises at all. So I went out and I bought some more runners as well. The other thing that I'm sort of struggling to come to terms with is I found my New Year's resolutions from last year, and I shared those in an earlier vlog. And I realized how few of them I actually completed or even started. And that's been another, I suppose, like personal kind of like affront on my head as well. And so that was part of the reason I wanted to buy the runners. So I didn't like buy expensive runners or anything like that. I bought 2 pairs of runners as well yesterday, just to kind of like get moving forward with that. And I also kind of chatted through what I was feeling with a really good friend of mine, Laura. She also has a YouTube channel called How to Get Your Shit Together. She's actually recently started vlogging herself in January. Prior to that, How to Get Your Shit Together is, as the name would suggest, a YouTube channel about productivity and organization. And she's really good at that. But in January, she started vlogging too. And I'd only watched one of her vlogs because I literally haven't had a moment. And I sort of caught up on a lot of her vlogs this morning. And one of her ones from earlier in the week, in the start of the week, she was actually going through the very same thing. And it's funny because yesterday when I wasn't feeling so great, it just so happened we were talking and I mentioned it to her, and she sort of gave me some great advice. She barely mentioned that she'd felt similar herself earlier in the week, and she actually vlogged through hers, or not sort of through hers, but really shared how she was feeling. And it just made me feel like just more accepting of my own situation as well, because sometimes I feel that I and people in general put a huge amount of pressure on themselves, all of the time in their work life and their personal lives to like get everything done and, do everything perfectly. And it, as great as that is to aim towards and to achieve, it's just not always 100% realistic. And so I was really grateful to Laura for like giving me some great advice yesterday. And then also when I saw her vlog this morning from earlier in the week, that she'd actually gone through something similar. It just makes us all, it made me feel normal. And I suppose that's really kind of when you look at people's lives and you kind of think how wonderful it looks and how great it looks and how great they are at doing everything that they do. But that's not always the case. So hence why I suppose I wanted to share what was supposed to be a rather short little one-to-one about yesterday and what went on. But so I suppose my advice, if you're having a similar day, week, hour, year, whatever it is. Sometimes we just have to accept the fact that things aren't always going to be 100%. And to try and do small things or changes of situation that help things to be a little bit better, even if you can't change the overall situation. And to talk to people. I think, really talking to your friends and family when you're down like this, it helps a great deal. And I know sometimes it can be very, very hard to do and to reach out. But yeah, so I really hope that all you guys are having a much better start to the year than I've had. I have to say I am feeling so much better today. Things are going much, much better today. I am still fighting a losing battle with my emails. For every email I seem to read and answer, another 3 come in. But I'm getting through it. I am feeling so much better about it, more positive about it. And I suppose I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys as well. So thank you so much for watching, if you have watched till the end. And I'm so sorry if I've rambled aimlessly, over nothing. But I hope somebody finds this useful and helpful. And, if you need to talk, the comments below are there, or our email address is there if you wanted something a little bit more private in our About section. So yeah, here's to a great new year. Bye guys.